Good morning, everyone. This is Biz Chicks TV. This is the place where you can find tips and tools to help you do business better. We're here to help you run a profitable business that's fun to run and to take the hassle out of your hustle. And today is Thursday, so you know we're talking healthy, happy, healthy habits with Robin Shimizu and friends. Robin's in the house today, so we're really, really excited. So, guys, we want you to sit back, relax, hydrate, and spend a little time with us this morning. Good morning, Robin.
Good morning, you guys. Good to see you. Good morning, Jill.
Good
Thank you so
morning.
much for being our guest this morning. Um, I just wanted to mention something about meditation this morning. I found this article about 10 reasons why science supports meditation. It's not woo-woo, and it's just they're getting more and more and more scientific evidence about how meditation helps you health just be more healthy overall. And today we have Jill Weston from Our Breathing Space. She's and the owner of Our Breathing Space in Elk Grove, California, where she teaches yoga nidra. And she also not only leads the sessions, but she also teaches others to learn how to teach yoga nidra because it's such a great practice and not that well known actually, and it's very reasonable. So you guys need to check her out. Excuse me. Excuse me. So I just wanted to, with that, introduce Jill. Thank her very much for coming. Jill, tell us a little bit more about yourself, and then we will get into our session today about healthy, happy holidays
Mhm.
through meditation.
Good morning. Yes, I'm going to share about how to get through the holidays, both as a business owner, perhaps as a parent, grandparent, a solo person who maybe doesn't enjoy the holidays. So I'll talk about perspective, predicting, and planning. And I'm here at Breathing Space in Elk Grove, where I share yoga nidra, mindfulness techniques, both for business owners, stressed parents. I have kids that come in before their SATs. So I try to offer type of services that help you calm your chaos in an affordable way. And nothing, again, as Robin said, that's too woo-woo for people. Most of the practices, you just come in and sit, any type of clothes. You don't have to have any fancy yoga clothes. And then for yoga nidra, you come in with a pillow and a blanket, which is very inviting, and you don't have to do anything except stay awake.
And
Well,
it's great. I think we all have taken one of your sessions at least, right?
yes,
Yes,
Jill?
Terry and Francine have come in.
Yeah, it's awesome.
very soothing. Folks, if you're looking to calm your chaos, I would definitely take a quick session with Jill. And it was not expensive. So I want you to know you can put this in your budget,
Yes.
won't break the budget, but it will allow you to focus better.
And
And the
especially during the
other,
holidays, I think it's a helpful practice. And I'll talk later about how budget impacts your stress. So all year
Mhm.
long, I think it's a reasonable practice. And there's other practices as well that you just commit, put it in your budget, put it on your calendar.
right.
Robin, you were going to say something?
Oh, I just wanted to mention one thing that I found so profound about the session that I was able to attend is that when I do my own meditation, it stays with me, during the day. But this was so impactful for me that it stayed with me for a number of days after the session. I was just calmer for
Yes.
a lot longer, and so I could see where if you would do a session every maybe twice a week or something like that, it would be so helpful.
Sure.
So it's very, very good.
Even there's people, I have a couple people that come once a week, and then other people come as they can because they're busy. Most people
Mhm.
find for about 5 to 6 days afterwards, their sleep patterns are improved. And then during the day, they're more focused. And again, it's an easy practice. You just lay down and listen. Those of you who are not close to Elk Grove, it's Yoga Nidra, Nidra. And if you look it up, you might start to find practitioners near you, and you can also try it online. Online's a little bit harder because you might drift off and go to sleep. If you come in and see me, I help you stay awake during the session.
I love it. Okay. Well,
Okay.
let's get started with
Okay.
today's topic. Yes.
All right. So I was, a couple weeks ago, I was developing the topic. It helps for me to outline information and also look around on social media, speak with friends to see what they're interested in, especially during the holidays. I developed a plan of looking at perspective, predicting, and planning to get you through the holidays. And basically because of the stress, there can be joy and there can be stress. Interesting enough, on my drive in, I was listening to the radio, and bankrate.com did a survey of people, and 51% of the people who did respond felt pressured to spend more money on gifts than they were comfortable with. It's 51%. 28% felt pressured to attend social gatherings and did not really want to. And 24% felt pressure to travel. I believe it was among those 24%, or perhaps overall, another 45% said they would really, if they were allowed to, felt comfortable, would actually stay at home versus spending money and traveling during the holidays. So today we're going to focus on, during the holidays, thinking about what is your desired state. And that's a phrase that I use in Yoga Nidra. It's a phrase that I use when I'm doing mindfulness activities with people. Thinking about how do you want to feel? So what is your desired state? When you're running your business during the holidays, for example, because we're focusing on holidays, when you're interacting with family members, and maybe you're alone by choice, you're alone because maybe it's your first season where someone significant has passed, and we have all these activities, we have our to-do lists, but we're not always looking at what's our goal. So today, everything that I'm going to present is to have you coming back to what's your desired state, how do you want to feel? So today we'll outline perspective, predict, and plan. With a perspective, it's looking at what is your perspective about the holidays, and then we'll talk about what are others' perspective. So for your perspective, do you know intuitively, do you take time to sit and figure out, is this a joyful time for me? Is this a happy time? Am I feeling pressured by all the commercials? Am I feeling pressured by being invited to events? What is my perspective about the holidays? Is there family drama? And typically there is among all families, no matter how good they look on social media, no matter how good they look in front of people, sometimes there's just drama. And it may be family drama that only comes out at the holidays. And that can be, as we just discussed, the pressure to travel. In my family, it was curious. My mom was a big hostess, really loved the holidays, had probably 3 or 4 trees in every room, insisted on buying tons of gifts once our family was able to. And I think that came out of, my mom and dad came up out of poverty. And even into my 40s, she would insist on gifts. The other thing that was critical that created a little bit of stress, she would always want us to gather at her house. And once my sister had her baby and lived six hours away, my mom still wanted Christmas at her house. My sister wanted her daughter to wake up and see their Christmas tree in their house. And my mom was not having it. So as long as I remember, really until my mom passed, we pretty much had to have Christmas at her house. So again, just knowing your own perspective, I would gear up and prepare for that. I wouldn't try to change anything because it was a family tradition. The other perspective is just knowing your emotions, having a viewpoint on that. Then you also want to consider, to stay stress-free, what are the perspectives of others? Again, as I mentioned, knowing that you have older family members that may not be as agile, they may not be able to hop in a car and come to events, or everybody wants to drive and look at Christmas lights, and perhaps you're leaving an older family member or someone who's not as able-bodied, they're left out. And how do they feel about that? Or if you have very strong older family members, like in my family, a matriarch or a patriarch, of things have to be done a certain way. Food has to be cooked a certain way, served on certain plates, and just know what their traditions are, what their perspective is. Also, I say millennials, and I don't always know if I'm using the right words of millennials or boomers, but anyone who's a different age than you are. So in your mind, I'm a little older, and there may be certain traditions that I just think should happen. And there may be younger people who are not into family gatherings, who are not into traveling, maybe who even buy gifts that you think are a little bizarre, but it's their perspective. And then also having a perspective of kids and babies. We have a new baby in our family, for example, who is, used to noise. They're out at social events already, but maybe there's kids and babies who are not used to a lot of noise or who create a lot of noise. And again, thinking from their perspective that it's a happy, joyful time for maybe kids, and they're running around, jumping on your couches, interrupting your business phone calls, but understand where they're coming from. So understanding perspective can help you be a little less stressed. The second area that I wanted to talk about is predicting. And by predicting, I'm suggesting don't be surprised at the holidays. We all pretty much know what's going to happen, who we're going to be around. We know some of the stressors of time, money, overeating. So don't let it stress you. If you do overeat, which you probably will, don't let that stress you. It's a time where people are sharing. There's a lot of food on the table. There's a lot of commercials about food. So don't be surprised and give yourself a hard time if you overeat. Other predictions, and I'll see if there's any comments. Other predictions are just noise. There's football games on. There's kids running around. You go in a store and there's noise. We might get irritated about that. But if you're predicting in the holiday time, when I go into a store, I'm going to see Christmas trees and it's only Thanksgiving. Don't get irritated about it. I'm going to have a lot of phone calls of come here, no, come here, bring food, do this, bring a, white elephant gift. I remember at work once, we had a white elephant event, and I brought what I thought was a white elephant. And when people opened, they're like, well, that's not even that nice of a gift. And I said, I thought the whole point was white elephant, of it's something that you do. And again, it didn't bother me, but I was like, you know what? It's the holiday time. People are just irritated. But there's no surprises, no surprises with family emotions. Don't expect your uncle, your child, yourself to act a different way than probably you do during the holidays. And then the other one, a little more on a serious note, there's a little more alcohol use sometimes during the holidays. If it's recreational, absolutely no problem. But being careful if you know that you are prone to self-soothe a little bit to get through the holidays by drinking excessively or using other recreational substances, and know that may be true for other people as well. Again, try to predict in the different situations that you're in and don't be surprised. Also, maybe on a little more emotional note, if you're alone during the holidays and perhaps not by choice, again, predict a little bit. Try to find someone, instead of waiting for people to reach out to you and perhaps being sad if that doesn't happen, maybe see if you can volunteer somewhere, reach out to some friends ahead of time. And if you can, be clear with them. I don't want to be alone for the holidays. Can I come over for a little while? Is there an event that we can attend? Mm-hmm. So again, if you're predicting, you're a little less at risk, if will, from some emotions popping up. And again, if you see that perspective for yourself and others, predict how you think the holidays are going to go. And then we'll talk at the end about, I say predicting, but I'm a big proponent too of kind of manifesting and determine your state. So if you're sitting looking at how you think your holiday is going to go and you're like, wow, I don't want to have happen what happened the last 5 years, jump in and have a plan and change that. So the predicting isn't assuming it's going to happen. I just run across people who are like, wow, worst holiday ever. This happened, this happened, this happened. And I said, you say that every year.
Wow.
Why was it a surprise that you were stressed to go visit your family? Why was it a surprise you were stranded at the airport? It's wintertime. If you're flying through Denver, for example, You're going to be stranded.
You know, Jill, this is just so ironic to me. I have people who come to California often for the holidays, and the first thing I say to them is, "Are you flying through Denver? Can you get a nonstop flight from wherever you're flying from,
Yes.
so that you don't have to worry about the weather
Yes.
between here and you know what I mean?"
Yes.
And oh, I never thought about that. Yes, this does stop in two different places, Chicago and Denver. Really?
Sure. Sure. And not always an option. But even if you end up stranded in the Denver airport, if you can sit there and say, you know what, I tried an alternate flight. I wasn't willing to spend $1,000 for a direct flight. I at least tried. But you're not sitting there having a conversation or an argument with someone else of, why are we flying through Denver airport? You know why you are.
We try to have these conversations before they book the plane.
Yes.
I have a question. Now, you know, there are a lot of blended families. This may be the first time that the blended family has gotten together.
Absolutely.
And everybody might not be happy about it.
Yes.
What do you suggest people do?
I was going to say that's actually on my little outline as well.
To prepare for
Blended
that
family, newly divorced, broken up family. So maybe the mother-in-law is still in good graces and wants to spend time with a part of the family that her son or daughter doesn't.
The grandchildren.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Blended families. And we have a blended family, even trying to get people to different locations. I went down recently, obviously not for Thanksgiving, and I was asked if I could bring my niece's partner, his daughter. And I said, sure, if her mother is willing to let me drive her. So again, even just the coming together of people you've never met before, you have different ages, different cultures, different expectations. And I say, we have social media, we have technology, hop on a call and maybe FaceTime everybody. I don't know if people Skype anymore, but FaceTime, and maybe the adults get together and have a conversation. Here's what I'm thinking of doing. Here's what I'm thinking for meals. What would you like to guys to do? Or literally meet up online, kind of like we're willing to do that to date online.
Mm-hmm.
But why would we invite someone? Why would we, again, be surprised when we meet someone, a new quote family member, we meet them for the first time on a holiday in our home or someone else's home? We'll date online, but do we try to get everybody in a chat room? Do we try to get everybody, on a FaceTime call just to meet for the first time?
Mm.
So that would be a suggestion, or a phone call if that doesn't work. You could even send out an old-fashioned letter, and maybe the letter is, here's our holiday traditions, here's what we like to do, what do you like to do? And literally, if you're hosting, welcome them into your space. Don't let it be the first time you open that door that say, hi, nice to meet you. Try to make them feel welcomed. And I will say, also put down some boundaries if necessary before they show up at your door. So if you know that there's a new family member, someone coming that you've heard of their habits and maybe don't appreciate their habits or their ways, there's some ways to set some subtle boundaries. If you don't like alcohol around, or you're a recovering alcoholic, you might say, here's where I'm at. Here's what's important to me. For the 4 or 5 hours that you're going to be in my household, we don't have alcohol here. Mm-hmm. If someone has allergies, for example, there's a lot of people who have food allergies, mm-hmm. Allergies to certain scents. They might be allergic to your Christmas tree. Doesn't mean you don't have the Christmas tree. Put that information out ahead of time and see if you can negotiate around that. So yes, blended families that's an important one.
Okay.
So Jill, what I'm hearing from you is it's just really important for people to think about it ahead of time and to be willing to communicate.
Yes.
And let people know what you're thinking and facilitate conversations if you have to.
Yes.
So that's very, very good advice, especially right now, because we'll be having Thanksgiving next week already. No, 2 weeks from now.
It's coming
Yeah.
up. So there's still time. There's
Yeah.
still time.
These
Yes.
are great tips.
And be willing to, if you're the one if you're the one choosing to reach out or being brave enough to reach out, take people's input as well. And if someone says, hey, could we have ham instead of turkey? Could we have something vegetarian? Could we go for a walk instead of watching the whole football game? Again, what is your desired goal? So in your mind, you may be saying, nope, I am watching my football game. I am watching my Hallmark specials. I am going shopping. Is it reasonable to give up a little bit of your time or to be willing to compromise a little bit if your desired state is to remain peaceful, if your desired want is to welcome somebody from a blended family for the first time? I don't think it sounds harsh, but maybe don't be selfish. There's a fine line between self-care and being selfish sometimes, or just being stuck. Well, we've always done it this way. Well, maybe not this year. There's an old, I don't know if the right word is fable or story of a woman who's watching her mom cook a pot roast and she cuts off the ends of the pot roast. And so the woman goes on to do that, and her daughter now is watching her cut off the end of the pot roast, and then that daughter's daughter watches. And finally someone asked the question, like, wow, what's the deal with cutting off the ends of the pot roast? And for a moment, no one really knows. They reach back through the seasons and through the generations. And the original person says, hey, I just didn't have a pot big enough.
Yeah.
But everybody thought there was some recipe, or wow, it sure tastes better with the ends. We've got to cut off the ends of the pot roast. And the only reason was it didn't fit in the pan. So again, be open to seeing things differently, especially if people are asking that of you. And now we'll move on to the third and last piece, which is planning. And we've actually talked a little about that of, plan your own self-care. If you need to step out of a busy, loud room, and literally it can be in a closet, it can be in a bathroom, you can go take a walk, put on some headphones. Something I really like is silent walks. So maybe the family wants to be together, but as you're together, you're still talking, you're arguing about politics, you're arguing about how much to spend, you're arguing about what got cooked. Maybe you want together time, but do we just take a 10-minute silent walk? Or playing, a friend of mine the other day, she mentioned she plays I Spy with her kids in the car. Maybe you take a walk and it's I Spy. I spy something red. I spy something that smells good. I spy something that makes me happy. And there's certain topics that are just off limits. The family agreements that we talked about, how long are we going to spend at people's houses? Maybe there's even a family agreement if you're hosting that, people are here until 10 o'clock at night. They're here till 3 in the afternoon. And then at 3 o'clock, we're going to round everybody up and we're going to gently kick people out of the house. So what are your family agreements about what you talk about, what you do, how much you spend on gifts? Again, I think it was 51% of people surveyed feel more pressure to spend more money on gifts than what they're comfortable with. The other few quick things I would mention with planning is something I haven't done so much during this broadcast because I'm trying to get a lot in, but breathe while you're talking. So if you're about to have a tough conversation with someone, or you're finding yourself stressed as you're putting dinner on the table for the holidays, literally stop and breathe while you're talking. And more than likely, you'll notice that people will start to pace with you. So if you're talking to someone and they're like, I don't know what to do, and we have to do this and that, and the football game's on, you don't have to say, be quiet, stop talking. Start to slow down your own speech and literally take a deep breath, and people, including kids, will start to mirror that. And then the two last things that you might try to also is movement. You can do this for yourself or do it with a group. And my favorite one is something called Shake It Out. And you literally start to just shake your right hand, shake your elbow, shake your shoulder, shake the next hand. And you're breathing while you're doing that. And you can shake faster or slower, again, to get to your desired state. That sends oxygen to the brain that helps you think clearer, which means you're going to respond more clearly. And it's actually a fun activity with kids. You can shake the whole body. And again, if they're jumping around and won't sit still, don't ask them to sit still. Let them get some movement. Remind them to breathe with that. And then you can also put your hand on your chest, hand on your heart, and really notice your heartbeat and notice your breathing patterns. And that brings some calm to the body. Another one for kids that we had talked about a little bit before we went on camera was glitter jars. A friend and I just did a session for parents on mindful holidays, and Amanda pre-created the glitter jar so we didn't have glitter all over in breathing space. But you get either a hard plastic, a glass jar, depending on the age of your kids. You can put just water in it or a little bit of oil. You put glitter in there. You can put your kids' little favorite items if you want. And the idea is you would shake up the jar. If they're excited, a little too excited, you would shake up the jar like they're kind of shaking up, set the jar down, and have them watch the glitter settle. If there are items in the glitter jar, you can actually ask them to focus on the items and watch them settle. Amanda does this with kids when she teaches kid yoga, and sometimes the kids on their own will say, I'm going to focus on just the purple piece of glitter. I'm going to focus on the one piece of glitter, and they will sit quietly and watch that to the very bottom of the jar. And it's actually something that's fun for adults as well. And there's recipes on Etsy and online for that.
Oh, I like the idea of having a glitter jar. That sounds really calming.
Yes, it is.
I have a couple of snow globes around the house.
Yeah. You can just do a snow globe and watch, again, everything settle.
Francine says perhaps that's the reason for the snow globe.
Maybe. It may be. The other thing that wasn't on the list, but as you talked about that, a lot of families will do a gratitude jar during the holidays, and sometimes they'll add to it for the whole year, and they open it at the holidays and actually maybe read through before dinner, mute the football game for a moment, and maybe pull out the gratitude jar and just do it for 2 or 3 minutes, or maybe do it for 20 minutes.
Wow.
Any questions on having perspective, predicting? Again, there are generally no surprises during the holidays, and then also planning with the idea of you're trying to reach your desired state and you want to respond instead of react. And one thing I also forgot to mention was sometimes just taking what I call a petite pause, petite meaning small, little. So we might want to go lay down and take an hour nap. We might want to take a 30-minute break, and that's just not going to happen. But can you take a petite pause while you're watching the football game that you really don't want to watch? Get up and walk in the other room, take a breath, come back in and watch the football game because everybody else is watching it and they really want you to watch it. You're running into a store because you forgot a food item. Can you take a petite pause in the car? Feel the hands on the steering wheel, feel yourself sitting there, play I Spy with yourself, then go into the store. When you're in the store and the line is really long, maybe you take another lap around the store. Maybe you go find something good to smell, something pretty to look at, take a petite pause, and then get back in line.
Nice.
Any questions? And then we'll end with a little quick guided meditation to help you focus on your desired state.
I thought everything was was pretty clear.
Okay.
I really like the idea of you had a sentence that you said, learn to respond, not to react.
Yeah.
And that's being in what we call the parasympathetic, getting out of the fight or flight. We know the holidays come around every year. We know pretty much what's predictable. How do we let ourselves get and stay in that agitated state when we think it's the end of the world? You know, again, we're being chased by the saber-toothed tigers like back in the olden days. The fight or flight, the adrenaline state exists for a reason when we're really, really in danger. We trick ourselves, our body and mind tricks ourselves into being in that fight or flight, the sympathetic too often. So knowing your desired state, how do you really want to feel? Responding versus reacting is getting out of that fight or flight into rest and digest, or rest and restore. And that's when you're nicer to yourself, you're nicer to the family. You could have a burned up turkey, 10,000 new blended family members stuck in the Denver airport, and still find a way to respond rather than react.
Well, isn't that a good thing to do, especially since it's supposed to be a day of thankfulness?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And the other thing is, if you know that there's going to be a chance that people are going to get stuck because they are flying through Denver, just know that that might happen and try not to let it stress you out.
Mm-hmm.
And figure out ways that you could de-stress them that are waiting in the airport. Like,
Exactly.
Okay, well, there'll be leftover turkey when you get here, and we'll do this and that, you know? So yeah, I really do think it comes right down to being able and willing to talk things out and think about it first, of course, be more aware of it first. But yeah, take the courage to, you know, open it up to the family members. And I love the thing about set your perspective first. Think about other people. Think about where you're coming from. Think about who's all coming and what could possibly happen. And you're not going to predict everything, but at least you've done some thinking about it ahead of time and communicating that also. I'll give you a good example. What's happening in my house? My husband's very sick, and I can't cook in the house. My house is where we cook. We make cookies for Christmas. We do the turkey here. We do everything in my house. So I've done a whole planning thing with my sisters. Who's going to cook the turkey? Who's going to make the mashed potatoes? I could do this because it doesn't smell, you know, those kinds of things. We've already had those discussions because, you know, it's just a different year. So, and we did it all through text messaging.
I love it. I love it. And my guess too, Robin, is either you picked certain family members that you knew had those various talents, or they stepped up to the plate.
Right.
So the other piece too is when you're looking at predicting or even planning with family members, don't ask people to do, like, I don't cook well. Don't ask me to cook. I will wash dishes forever. I will run errands. I will take the kids out and play with them. I will try and I will help prep. But don't ask people to do something that you know is not in their wheelhouse or is very uncomfortable for them.
Right.
But that makes sense. The other thing is, don't ask people to cook if they've retired from cooking.
There you go.
I haven't cooked Thanksgiving dinner in over 20 years. I mean, once the kids went off to college, that was it. I was done. Okay. Nice. And so I'm probably not going to want to go back to trying to do all of that. I'm not my mother or my grandmother with a deep freeze who started cooking 3 months ahead of time.
Yes.
But also, we're not the same generation of people. We don't spend 2 weeks traveling to get there in a car and then stay for 2 weeks.
Yes.
Before we leave. Okay. And also, our families aren't as big. My grandmother had 18 brothers and sisters. Okay. There's just my brother and I. So things change. And so we have to sort of, like you said, get perspective. Don't cook for 18 if you're only expecting 6 people.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think too, holidays used to be, as you said, it was a big effort. People are coming together. They're driving a long ways, flying a long ways. And also knowing that holidays, I believe maybe they used to be at maybe a happier time in a way. I think we have a little more anxiety going on, more people who are truly depressed. So also not assuming that the holidays are a happy time for everyone. Either, again, I think, years ago, maybe we were a little happier, or we didn't voice that. We didn't say there was anything such as depression or anxiety, or even acknowledging that there was, alcoholism in the family. So I think nowadays it's a little different because it's just not I don't think it's always as happy a time. Or again, as families change, maybe you start new traditions that really are happy, that we don't stay stuck in, well, mom's always done this, uncle so-and-so's, we have always done this. Why not create some new traditions that are in line with the younger people in our family and what they're responding to?
I think we should give them the opportunity to set their own traditions. I'm a real believer in that. I'm like, you know what? Your kids should wake up at your house, your tree. What do you want your traditions to look like?
Yes.
Also,
Yeah.
That's really nice.
It
Terry.
calms my chaos.
Calmed your chaos.
To outsource the tradition.
I love it. I love it. Outsource the tradition. Yes. Yes.
It's a way of being unselfish, Terry.
Oh, okay. Well, I just
really?
call it, it's your tag, you're it.
All right. Any other questions or comments on perspective, predicting, and planning to, again, reaching that your desired state? Like, you want to be calm, you want to be peaceful, you want to be present, with people.
And you want to be happy.
Yes.
You want it to be a happy event for yourself. Whatever it is.
If it's okay, then I'll close with just a very short guided meditation that maybe people can use and come back to. They can fast forward to this segment during the holidays if they need to. And again, it'll be about just reaching and seeing your desired state.
Okay.
So as you're ready, just settle into your chair. If you're in your chair, maybe you're in your car listening to this, hopefully not driving. Wherever you are, just feeling yourself settle in. When you're ready, you can close down your eyes if that feels comfortable for you. And if not, maybe just gaze straight ahead, looking straight ahead. And take a nice deep inhale in through the nose. When you're ready, loosen your jaw and let that breath out. Take another nice inhale in through the nose. When you are ready, loosen your jaw and release that breath. You're giving your body, your mind permission to relax down, starting to notice what's going on inside rather than looking around at everything outside. And take your attention to your right hand and just notice everything about your right hand. Whether your eyes are closed or open, just imagine your right hand and relax your right hand. Relax your wrist, your elbow, and your shoulder, your right shoulder. Let your right arm be heavy. Then take your attention to your left hand. Notice everything about your left hand and relax your left hand. Then go ahead and notice your left wrist, your left elbow, and all the way up to your left shoulder. Completely relax your left arm. Now just feel both arms heavy. Guide your attention to both shoulders. See if you can let your shoulders relax down, just feeling the weight of your arms, gently releasing your shoulders. And if you're feeling a little more relaxed, a little more calm, see if you can picture some aspect, some part of the holidays coming up. Maybe you're preparing to go to an event. Maybe you're sitting with your family. Maybe you're sitting by yourself. And just see yourself in your desired state, meaning what do you want to feel? How do you want to feel? And if your mind drifts away, you can just bring it back. Again, you're picturing, making an image, seeing yourself, feeling, experiencing what you want to experience. When you're ready, you can start to move your fingers, maybe get some movement in the shoulders. When you're ready, start to open your eyes again. And see if you can still hold on to that image. Again, seeing your desired state, seeing how you want to feel during the holidays. And take a deep breath in through your nose. Relax the jaw. Then just let that breath go. And if you didn't feel like you were, quote, successful with that, you couldn't get your mind to calm down, just come back to that again. You can replay this part of the recording or even go online and find a guided meditation that helps you. And I would encourage that you start doing that well before the holidays. And just keep coming back again. It's like, how do you want the holidays to be for you?
Lovely.
And thank you again for having me on this show. Always happy to help you calm your chaos.
Jill, want to thank you so much for everything. Do you want to tell us a little bit about any upcoming events that you might be having at the studio? Or
I actually just have my regular classes going on. You can find me on Facebook, Breathing Space in Elk Grove, or Facebook is Breathing Space. Look for the one in Elk Grove. And then also on Instagram. And on Instagram, it's Breathing Space Elk Grove, all one word. I just have some regular classes going on. I'll be taking a little bit of time off here and there. I do have a teacher training coming up in January to learn how to facilitate Yoga Nidra for people. That one is almost full. So yeah, people can just check it out. I also do private sessions, corporate sessions. If there's businesses out there that would like to do a customer appreciation, I can travel to your business, or you can bring your employees here. I do everything from 15-minute sessions, if that's helpful, because sometimes people just don't have the time, but very, very available to customize sessions for people depending on what their needs are.
Lovely.
beautiful.
Oh, I'm so relaxed. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just going to close, I think, unless anybody has anything else they want to add to this presentation. But I want to just thank Jill so much, and we'll put your links up on the chat for you and for people that are viewing this afterwards. I wanted to thank Nora and Brenna for tuning in with us live. And I didn't check to see if there were other folks, but yeah, we had a few guests that joined us. So I want to thank them, and Francine, of course, in the background, and always Terry. So, and Jill, thank you so much. This is lovely. Next week we have Dr. Tanisha Dandridge joining us, and she is our mindfulness coach. So that will be exciting as well. So that will be helpful for the holidays, I think, as well.
Well, thank you, Robin, so much. You always have such great guests. Jill, we really enjoyed the meditation. I want to remind everybody that tomorrow is Friday. We'll be talking tech in English. And I want to give a shout out to my partner, Ms. Francine Gregory, real estate entrepreneur and diva, who's been producing for us in the background. And I want to remind everybody, don't forget to go to the front of your own line. And we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.